Well, I think I finally got all
Our
seven
life.
passwords and codes and verifications and validations, and we'll find
Hmm.
out.
Like seven dwarfs. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Finally, we are live. Oh my goodness gracious, only 5 minutes late. Thank you for your patience as we log in for Talk Time with TJ, Triple T, number 193 on 9/9/2025. Got a case of the nines going on. And go figure on today would be the day that, well, you got to change your password, then you got to check this verification, then go to this other recovery email and get the notification, and then we sent you a code to your phone, and we need a letter from the Pope, so here we are. Thank you for showing up, and for those of you that are finally, I'm finally on YouTube Live. Hi, Mom. And we also got to throw in there hi to our buddy Mike. Mike texted me, said that he is not going to be able to join us on Zoom, but he will be watching us on the YouTube. Speaking about YouTube, if all of you could do me a favor and please go on YouTube and click the subscribe button, ring the bell, hit the like button. They don't cost you anything, but they sure help me out. And I'd also appreciate if I could get some comments on there. So if you could, even if you want to go back and check out some of the archived stuff, now that we are all the way up to 193, I noticed that some of the older ones have been getting some views and some likes, so I should certainly appreciate that. Also have a website I would love to have you go check out. We keep doing little changes here and there, kind of like Where's Waldo? See if you can notice them. If you have any suggestions for the website, I'd appreciate it as well. But it'll give you a little insight as to some of the stuff that I do. I'm very privileged to help people out with lots of things like uh, PTSD, phobias, anxiety, grief, smoke cessation, do a lot of relationship work. So if you got somebody that is looking for their person and they're tired of dating the same loser in a different meat suit, have them give me a call. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation. That's 30 minutes of our time to spend together, chit chat about what challenges you may be facing. If I feel that we're a fit, I'll let you know. I also promise you, if I feel that we're not a fit, I will let you know. I will do my best to find somebody that is a better fit to get you the change that you are looking for. And now, next step, time to introduce the tie of the week. Yes, this is something I started back in 24, still going strong. So, tie of the week. Tell me if you guys recognize any of these fine characters. Mm-hmm. If you knew these characters intimately when you were growing up, you had a great childhood, I think. But I'm going to go with that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. For those of you that are watching for the very first time and are watching the recording, and you're kind of curious as to what is this Triple T thing all about, it's a 2-hour show. First hour, I do my best to get through 3 topics that I came up with for the week. And then the second hour, we do a little change up, and it's open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can answer or ask a question or bring up a topic, and I let all the people on the call answer first because I enjoy learning as well. And if I feel after everybody has answered that I still have a little something to add to it. That's what I add my 2 centavos. So before we get rolling into it, even though we got a late start, I'd like to hear happy things from my peeps. Who's got something cool to share from the last week? Lenora's got a hand up.
I would like to formally announce that it is TJ's birthday on Friday.
Oh,
Happy birthday!
thank you.
That's it.
And Mark
You're a
had a,
Virgo?
yes. And sometimes I even live up to all the things that Virgos do. And I heard earlier that you've got somebody special to you that had a birthday. Your mic's off.
My bride, my wife, celebrated her 66th birthday, and a year ago we weren't sure she was going to be around, but you know, she's a tough customer.
Good. Glad you made it worth coming, sticking around for.
Amen.
Well, she's got to have you know, she gets her purgatory on earth with me, so because I ain't easy.
Uh-huh. But you're affordable and agreeable, so there's that
Most of the time.
most of the time.
Although you know, again, I'm not cheap, but I am easy.
Huh? Well, I'm not cheap and easy. I'm affordable and agreeable, and I'll stick with that. Anybody else before we get to rolling? Yes, no, maybe so? Well, I guess it's time to roll out the topics of the week. This week's topics: stages, lineage, and nines. And today I took I don't know if I can call it a play day, but I belong to the Old Town Burleson Association. It's a local town, one of the closest towns to where I live, and I've been a member for about 4 years now. The downtown businesses get together and help each other out, share what the city council or the chamber and the city and everybody has planned. And it's really interesting watching the amount of pre-planning that it takes to put on all these things. You know, you see these small towns that are dying on the vine because there's really nothing going on. They've basically become a bunch of houses in an area that people go to and leave to sleep and eat, but they don't do anything together as a community. And I got to hand it to Burleson and the planning committee, Joni, Alex, and sorry, one other, and I should know.
Long day.
Long day, yes, long day. Anyhow, those three, the work that they put into promoting Burleson and bringing businesses in and activities, they have, when they redesigned the City Hall campus, they put in a stage for summer concerts for free and a big area for gathering for that. And when it's not being used, there's all sorts of activities that people can spend time down there. And it's really interesting to see, again, how far out they have to plan certain things. Today's outing was a travel visit of 8 different businesses. And they try to do it once a year to help other businesses understand what other businesses are in the area for cross promoting and things of that nature. And just to help us go, wow, I didn't even know this was here. And the topic of stages that I brought up is a combination of different things. It's building stages, stages of life, stages of self growth, all the above. And it made me think about how far in advance are we planning our life? I ain't gonna lie, with some of the plot twist left turns I've been through, there have been stages in my life where the idea of planning tomorrow was almost more than I wanted to deal with. My plan for tomorrow was I'm gonna wake up and I know that I will have work to do. Finished. And I still have some of that in me. Drives my wife bananas. And not good bananas.
No banana Sunday.
Yeah, and some of you'll my wife is the planner. Her planner has planners. Seriously. And she's got, the planning app on her phone, and her calendar and her schedule in her phone, and a written one because you can write in it but it has to be in pencil so you can erase when plans change. And God bless her, she puts up with me because she'll be like, and then don't forget we've got a concert Saturday. She'll tell me on Monday, and I'll go, okay. Who are we seeing? She go, I talked to you about this, and I'm like, yes, okay. Who is it? And then I know Thursday, I'll be like, we got something coming up this weekend, don't we? Yes, concert. Ah, that's right. Who are we seeing? I don't have dementia because I can do all of the other stuff. I just don't plan like that again. And yet, watching these companies, these businesses, and some of them, the amount of stuff that they have already added to their business since last year, and what they have on the books for the next 4, 5, 6, 12 years, again, made me wonder, what would our life look like if we spent a little more time trying to figure out where we want to be, who we want to be, and what we want cleaned up in our life in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, 2 years. Lenara.
I will definitely plan. I think everybody knows that I'm a very strategic, intentional planner, and I do love a digital planner, and I still have a paper planner. I don't particularly plan 5 or 10 years out. I can't do that anymore, and I never liked to do that, and I definitely can't do that since college. Like when I went to college, I knew that that was the plan. After that, I couldn't tell you. But I definitely have intentions. And I think the word, Elijah, you said it right before we got on the call. Isn't it funny how we change one word and we change a belief? I think that's what you had said. And I will set an intention, as in this is the goal, and some things will absolutely be there, like visiting a place. That will definitely be okay, that's done, that's locked in. But others are intentions, and I hope I end up there, or I am working to end up there, but it might not necessarily be the official thing. But beyond a year, I can't. Gives me break out into a sweat.
And I completely understand. There was a time in my life where I had the Sony Clie, if anybody remembers that. It even had the little stylus that had its own little place to sit, and I had my full schedule available on there, and I could be out in public and book a DJ event or anything. And I think it was in 2007 where my whole world just went, yeah, plot twist, left turn. That I just kind of took that whole idea and got away from it. And I know I need, and it's ironic because I give away planners and journals, and I've got a day planner by my bed, but it's as part of the therapy that I teach, where when you're going through some stuff, you pull out the day planner and you write down a minimum of 3 things that went right for the day. 3 things that you remember that were cool from the day. Other than that, I have no events, no future planning. And yet, our property, 4 acres, got a workshop, got an apartment that I had to gut and completely redo. I had all of that planned in my head. I knew what it was going to look like. I had very little. In fact, I don't think I did any drawings. I put some tape down on the floor to try and get my wife to see the vision that she couldn't see. And so there's lots of different ways people handle the moving forward. Mark, got your hand up.
Yeah, the what you said earlier, like I said, again, people who plan, again, a lot of volunteer organizations, and I headed one at one point with the lodge, and I find that if you're going to get people to cooperate, you can't order them around like like you're the boss. You don't have that power control, so you have to inspire people to participate. But as far as quick aside, Lenora, women don't sweat; they glisten. Just want you to know.
Thank you.
Um, but as far as like, there's a good book out there. It's kind of old. It's called How to Get Control of Your Time and Your Life. And I've taken a few things from that. A schedule doesn't lock you in. It frees you up to see where where you can have some unstructured time and you do your list and you basically break it into A's, B's, and C's. And if you get most of the A's done today, that's good. You get a couple of B's and maybe a C. And then tomorrow you make a new list and then you again label them A's, B's, and C's. So, again, it's been a long journey. Like I said, stages. Now I'm in that, stage of retirement and I had to come up with a goal. And last year the goal was, in 2024, by the time it ended, I wanted to have the next 20 years of retirement and all that stuff all, together and get it, and have it all, so we could enter that stage with a, sense of anticipation. And of course, the cancer blew that out of the water. But by the end of 2024, we pretty much had the financial piece in order. So, but it was, yeah, it's, again, what is it? Was it Patton who said, all battle plans are valid until the bullets fly, and then they go out the window. Um, so, but yeah, I wanted to get, again, I had that desire, that goal to get, our financial houses in order, and by the end of 2024, and we pretty much did it, and so we, then it was the next 20 years could be on autopilot, so, but yeah, planning is an essential thing. Like I said, as you go into each stage, for 35 years, I was paycheck to paycheck. But then I entered another stage, so I had to be able to deal with, again. But yeah, like I said, the older I get, I guess the better I get at planning things. But like you said, there are different stages, I guess stages of life. You said that, and my squirrels got excited. So,
Yes.
so yeah, but yeah, like I said, as far as planning goes, like I said, I was not a planner, but life takes you down certain pathways.
Well, and certain businesses absolutely cannot thrive without planning. One of the last stops we went to was another winery, and when they were talking about the the process and the calendar and how they have to have everything planned with forward thinking to have everything in line, that when the grapes are ready, the grapes are ready. You don't get to go, I'm not feeling like it this week. No, it's there. And the family entertainment place, they have to plan almost a year in advance because they have different stages. They've got a deal where they've got pumpkin days, and they theme the whole place, and they have to have planned downtime to change the whole place over for the next holiday. And where everything is stored and all of these things. And that level of planning is added onto the new features they keep adding to keep it fresh, to keep people coming back, so that it's not the same old place that they have been over and over. And then for those of you that are watching on YouTube or the recording, you don't get to see the comments. Mark put in a good one. Over planning sometimes can also cause paralysis by overanalysis. And I've seen that happen as well. And then on top of it all, there are the 4 most expensive words in any project.
While you're at it.
While we're at it,
Sorry.
Those 4 words will take a budget and demolish it. And so you have to also plan for overages and things of that nature, which is why a lot of building is done in stages. Holly, thanks for your patience. You've had your hand up.
I thought I unmuted. I guess not. Okay.
There you are.
This is going to be a lot of repeat of what's already been said. Great stuff so far. But yeah, I think with planning too, it's very much a spectrum, and it's also about honoring your own style. And sometimes things I think that we don't call planning can be planning. So a couple things that are popping into my head. One was I was thinking about I can't remember the name of the book, but it was written by a Navy SEAL. Maybe somebody will remember what it is. But he talks about having your first,
David
second, and third
Goggins?
targets. Maybe?
Or Jocko Willink?
No, I would have
Okay.
remembered it was Jocko. It might have been the first one he said. Anyway, he talked about when you're planning, you have your primary target, which most of your focus is on your primary target. But you should be aware of what's your target after that, and then also what's your target after that. So you kind of have an idea of, this is long-term where I want to go, but this is the thing I need to focus on the most. And he says, one of the things you got to remember is by the time you get to your third target, it's going to have changed in so many different ways anyway. So you still want to be aware of it. You want to be aware of the general place you're going. But if you pay too much attention to that third target and you're not paying attention to the target in front of you, you won't be prepared, and you're wasting a lot of your planning time for a target that you can't even see clearly anyway. And then another kind of example is kind of this way. So I'm a big fan of the TV show Leverage. And there's an episode, because their big mastermind, he has plan A, plan B, plan C, whatever, But anyway, they have somebody else run their thing for the day. And at the end, he says, your problem is you've made one perfect plan and it's so overcomplicated and you wanted it to go according to plan. My plans are, I just have several kind of outlines, and then when I get in there, I let the specifics fill themselves in. But, so I have so both kind of the same principle of, I would say manifestation is a version of planning, because the point of planning is not necessarily, I've got a perfect example of, exactly how this is going to go down. Maybe you're planning your crops or your land or whatever out for the next 5 years. Well, you might have like a dust storm one year. You might have a lot of rain one year. You might not have very much rain the next year. You can't plan for all of those contingencies and know exactly what's going to happen. But you can have a general idea of, this is where I'm going. This is what I want out of life. I'm going to put things on my manifestation list. I may not know exactly how I'm going to get to it. But the point is, do you have direction? And are you actually looking for something important? Because if you know what you're going for, when the opportunities come in front of you, you're more likely to see them. But I would say that's the other flip side of, we've talked about overplanning. It could cause paralysis by analysis, absolutely. But the other thing it could do, they've shown, is if you get too caught up into your perfect plan, you will miss opportunities. And so you'll be so focused on on track A, and it gets you so far, and you won't even notice there's a track B that's even better that comes up, that you could take it as long as you've got your flexibility in place. So it's planning with flexibility, keeping in mind that the point of planning is having a purpose. And then one other thing that we used to talk about in our business classes a lot. We talked about the difference between U.S. companies and Japanese companies. And U.S. companies often will focus on their 5-year plan, where Japanese companies will focus on their 99-year plan. And once again, it's not that you can tell what's going to happen 99 years from now. But by putting their focus out there, they're saying, yes, I am going to be here 99 years from now. And most importantly, am I making decisions in the 5 years that sacrifice the 99 years? Are you going to sacrifice the future for the now? Or are you the kind of person who's going to, I think it's Chase Hughes who talks about being your own butler and doing something nice for future you? Are you the kind of person who's going to do something nice today for future you? Or are you the kind of person that's going to sacrifice your future for today? And I think that's the big, follow the principles that I have a direction and I'm not sacrificing my future for today, but still have the flexibility and the openness to see other opportunities and to change and pivot your plans if something better comes along.
Absolute great stuff, as always. So glad you're here. And while you were talking, of course, one of my squirrels was like, oh, 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 oh. And it reminded me of a lot of times when I go back home to Minnesota to visit, I have plans, but I don't have plans. I have certain things that I know I'm going to try to accomplish on a certain day. Like when I went up there this time, I was there for 2 weeks, and I knew that I had this event on this day and this event on this day, and then I was going over here for a couple of days here and had a general agenda for there. But I also had a few days that the plan was I was just going to go out and see what I could see and see what would happen, because I knew that I was doing my darndest to put 80 pounds of sugar into a 40-pound bag. And I wasn't sure where it would come from or what it would look like, but I knew there was plenty out there to do. Lenora got your hand up, and Mark, those flowers really.
They do look beautiful, Mark. I was gonna echo Holly. She raised such a beautiful point about paralysis by analysis. I think one thing while planning is great, if you look behind and then think that every step you took was a disaster, or you're beating yourself up because you're not where you want to be in life and you shouldn't have made that decision, you shouldn't have made that decision, and you're looking in the rear view, criticizing yourself, I think that can absolutely be very, very detrimental. And so now I'm getting an aha. I was stuck in a shame loop, and I didn't know I was stuck in a shame loop. And so TJ was helping me with that last week, and now I'm just realizing I used to do that, and rather than being constructive, it was more about the shaming of it. So I wonder, here's a question for you all. Would you say you can become habitual with shaming yourself or addicted to shaming yourself?
Yes.
On the bright side, haven't done it for days now, so this is like a whole new level over here.
Awesome.
Yes.
And sorry, Mark, I saw that you were talking earlier, but you had your mic was off.
I was just saying, I never get flowers for my birthday, but that was from my son and his family
They
to
go
my
beautiful
wife.
with your eyes.
Smart boy.
Yeah. Bloodshot.
Is that what that color was? I was wondering. Any other ahas, epiphanies, inputs on stages and planning? And the other part that came up was, how big of a stage are you allowing yourself? You know, some people are so afraid to be noticed, to shine, to be out there. And so in my mind, they create this tiny little stage that they barely fit on, but they can say, and I filled the whole stage. Well, of course you did. It was 1.2% bigger than the size of your shoes. And you look at some other people, and they view the entire world as their stage. And the energy that it takes to fill that stage, somehow they have it. And they have the skill set to operate it and run it and all the above. And one of the things that I've been blessed to do with helping people is in my class, Identity Management University, aka IMU, they learn that they can actually step on different stages. They can take on different personas that allow them the ability to step onto stages of different sizes and be comfortable there, regardless of how they started or what their past history has been. And so, one of my questions for you guys is, if you could change the size of your stage, or the shape of your stage, or the height of your stage, at this point, would you do it? One of my clients was talking about an upcoming talk that they had to do, and they said, well, this time it's going to be on a stage. And I said, good, because your talk is important enough. It needs to be on a stage, a riser of some sort. Whether it's an 8-inch riser or if it's a really good setup stage. And they said, well, some of the other speakers come down in the crowd. I said, yes, but if you're on ground floor and there's just an empty place up front where you're talking from, that's not really a stage. That's an open space. And accessing the crowd from the open space doesn't have the same impact as accessing the crowd when you step off the stage and go into the crowd. I don't know how many musical performances I've seen of all different levels and all the way up to the big arena stuff, but it was always kind of special when you could get the performer off stage into the crowd. But it was, I think, the stage that gave it that extra, holy cow, they're on the floor, they're out with us. Ah! Do you allow yourself to have a stage sometimes that is elevated? Even if it's a family event, which can be the hardest. Because the relatives are like, well, who are you to think that you can be on a stage? I am me. That's who I am. And I'm not the same person that you guys have been trying to hold into a box. I get to be who I want to be. I'm not 12 anymore. I'm not 5. Yes, it comes with responsibilities. I have to be responsible for what I do and for my actions. But I don't have to be on the ground in a small area. The other part that happens, though, with those stages, we come up with wonderful things like spotlighting. And it's amazing the amount of people that I get to work with who find out that they've been spotlighting themselves and gaslighting themselves and shrinking their stage so small that even they don't fit on their stage anymore. And then they wonder why people take advantage of them, or they feel unseen or unheard or not respected, or all the above. And so if you could look at where you are now and plan out a year in advance, what might you change about your stage and your performance? AKA, who do you want to be? Holly.
So, oh geez, turn that off. So I had an interesting thought while you were talking about that. That it's not the size of the stage that necessarily matters. It does matter, but I'll get to that in a minute. In that some people are terrified, don't think they deserve it, whatever, are afraid to step onto the big stage. And that comes from a place of ego because you're so caught up in your ego. But also some people are so full of ego that they refuse to stand on the little stage as well. I only deserve to be on the big stage. How dare you relegate me to the small stage? And so I think the important thing is ask yourself, are you refusing to step onto either stage from a place of ego when the universe is calling you there? And then also recognizing that when you're called to be on the small stage, it's okay. And that could be just as beautiful and as important as when you're called to be on the big stage, and still give it your all. When you're on the small stage, don't say, this one only half matters. I'm just going to, phone it in. No. When you're on the small stage, you give it your all, you treat it exactly right. Maybe you tailor yourself to the small stage. That's totally fine. But you don't dim your shine. You don't dim your message just because you happen to be on the small stage. But then if you're the person who just, has been playing small, when you're called to go on the big stage, it's time to go on the big stage. Listen to that call.
Yes.
Beautifully shared.
Thank you. Yes. And Elijah, I am glad that you love being on stage. It's a great place for you. Anybody else got anything before we try to fit in 2 subjects tonight? And Michael's like, I just joined. What are we talking about? Yes, I agree.
I was just making kind of comments in the chat to Elijah,
Uh,
and it's kind of like I like being around somebody with small hands. Enough said.
uh-huh. I'm glad, and I want to thank everybody for the input and comments on this one. It as somebody who has been on multiple stages and I've performed in different facets. Sometimes looking back, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And I know that I'm not the only person on this on this call that has been a DJ. And there's just something about being on that stage and having that DJ voice. That's right. It's time to get down and have some fun. We're going to get out tonight. Make sure you're not sitting on them chairs, and make sure that you thank the waitresses and the bartenders with those tips. Don't be cheap, but now it's time to sweat. And yet people would see you on the street, and do they have any idea? No. Unless, of course, you grow up in a town like mine where it gave me the opportunity to be a really big fish in a really small pond. In fact, even now when I go back, I haven't DJ'd since 2007. And I still have people go, TJ the DJ. I'm like, yep, thank you. And even as big a stage as that was back home, I hate to say it, but sometimes when I go home, the stage is too small. Because there's still parts about me that they try to push back into that little box. And those that have gotten to know me really well and who stayed in touch before I got kicked off Facebook know that I've, I've, I've added more to the list, including this stage that I am so honored to share with you guys. Mark.
Just a random comment. I was going to say, you're a hometown of Frostbite Falls, Minnesota. Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's just a little north of us, yeah, Dan, you know. Oh, Rocky, not again.
PhD level question. How many telephones are there in Frostbite Falls?
One.
PJ might know this. No, two. One at each
Two?
end of town. Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that one. Huh?
Sorry, just jumped in there.
Well, maybe I'm going to use that as a segue into the second topic of lineage. And it's interesting, especially in this day and age of DNA testing or all the above, that you can supposedly track the lineage of your whole family and your pets and your trees and your house, and even though certain factions are trying to rewrite or erase history, there is still that fascination of lineage. Where did you come from? And one of the places that we visited today on the business tour was a place called Whistlejacket Farms. And they are a hidden little gem here that you wouldn't, they're right next to the freeway. But the property goes far enough back that all you see is the sign, Whistlejacket Farms, with an Arabian rearing up. And when you go back there, you're like, holy cow, this is here? And the lady who was the representative of the business today talked about how when they realized that they were going to not only have a horse farm, because they'd been doing this stuff for a couple of generations, they were going to pick a new name for this location and for their farm. And they settled on Whistlejacket, which is a famous painting of an Arabian? I want to say Arabian. Anyhow, yes, Arabian horse by this historical painter who became one of the very first painters that painted horses that looked like horses. Had the ability to add the three-dimensional features of a very healthy horse. And the Queen of England, I think it was Queen Anne or whatever, got into loving horses and had the money, the nation's money, whatever, to study these horses and find out that the Arabians were the original horse, the way they deduced, whatever, came up with the Arabians, if I've got the right breed, have one less vertebrae. And they're pretty sure that all horse breeds came from the Arabian and modified for different settings. So the queen, with her fundage, found 3 purebred Arabians, which are the farthest back lineage that they've tracked for pure lineage. And one of them was Whistlejacket, that was painted by this famous painter. That's how they came up with the name for this property. But it got me to thinking. I asked if they had studied their lineage for being involved with horses. And she knew that her grandparents had been into horses. And so they were 3rd generation. But that was about it. And now their kids are looking at taking over the farm, and they're building up the business and everything. The reason I brought this up is, along with lineage, when people are doing their family history lineage search and their DNA, they're all like, okay, I hope I'm, am I related to some famous king, or do I have royalties that are unclaimed? And find out that no, you're actually pretty much a mutt. You've got about 12 different types of races in your DNA. Or you find out that somewhere along the line somebody was confussed because they thought you were part this, part this, part this, and they got one of them right. And somewhere along the lines, a few were added. With that, what belief systems were brought through the lineage? Good and bad. What stories were brought through the lineage? Good and bad. And when you found out, like some of these people, when they find out that, oh my gosh, this entire time we thought we were Irish, Danish, and whatever, and then you find out that you're, something else. How does that story change who you're going to be tomorrow? Oh my goodness, the lineage story is completely different now. And how important is the lineage and the mix of what made you who you are and all these things, when you realize that you get to be whoever the heck you want to be, regardless of your lineage. You look at a lot of, some of the stuff that we were taught about horses at this place. Obviously, a lot of people know Clydesdale thanks to Budweiser. And but you're not going to see Clydesdales uh, doing the jumping and the chasing the foxes and everything. But you could take a heck of a rider. And the Clydesdale may not be the first one on the scene, but it'll be the one that can pull the house out of the way so you can keep going after it. So understanding that with stages of life and pre-planning and the plot twist left turns that show up and stuff from our past, how easy can it be to change who we are on stage tomorrow, regardless of our lineage? And here ends the first hour.
It's all about mindset, and we're all performers.
We are
We can
performers.
be anybody we want to be, and that's why what you do is so important, because you can put memories in people's thoughts and adjust memories in a great way where we can change their personal perception.
Yeah.
Love it.
Because even though we know the past happened, it doesn't exist anymore. You can talk about the stories and hang on to whatever you want, but is it helping you today? And if not, then change the past story to make it easier to move forward tomorrow. But it's time for us to move into the second hour, which means it's time to shift gears to open mic, open platform, and all you guys get to answer first, so I can learn something as well. Which means it's time for us to see who has the first topic for the second hour. And if you're watching for the first time, oh, Holly jumped right in. Normally I've got to wait another. So Holly, what do you got for us?
Well, I do have a question that's been kind of going through my mind. And I don't know how much people will know about this or not, but I'll at least throw it out there. So I've been studying a little bit about the difference between the way people on the autism spectrum communicate and the way that neurotypical people communicate.
Okay.
For those who don't know, people on the autism spectrum tend to be very literal. They tend to be very descriptive sometimes, overly descriptive at times. Maybe they shouldn't be, that sort of thing. So I'm just kind of curious for each of you, if you were working with a client who was on the autism spectrum, who wanted to learn how to speak neurotypical, what are some things that you would, thinking of them as two different languages? That's kind of what I've been thinking of them lately. How would each of you describe the way neurotypical people speak that are slightly different, that people on the autism spectrum might not pick up immediately?
There's a question.
Jargon. We got our slang. Holly,
Oh, yeah.
when people are talking, we talk like if you and I are talking, we've got our slang, we've got our descriptive words that we just embrace regularly versus not.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that? Or, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to add to what you were saying. So.
Yeah, looks like Mark's got an answer.
And unmute. Yeah,
There you go.
I worked with that population, and autistic people don't pay attention to facial expressions. There was a seminar I went to, and they were showing a movie called "Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?" And there's a very poignant, emotional scene in a closet where the guy's got a shotgun, and he's gonna kill himself and kill the girl. And there's one of those pull tabs on the light that's in the closet, and it's swinging back and forth. And when they tracked what the autistic people were looking at, they were looking at the string going back and forth. So they were not tracking facial expression. So they can be taught, by rote to, pay attention to facial expressions. But most of the time because we pick up so much information from, someone's facial expressions that we don't even realize how much we're getting, and that was one story. And like I said, and then I worked with a pair of autistic twins who had, like you said, their own language. And we were hanging out at the group home on a Saturday, and they'd be sitting next to each other, and we couldn't detect any communication going on between them, but one would go up and do something and would get people's attention, and then the other one would head out the door. So they were communicating in a way that we couldn't pick up on. But yeah, like I said, when again, people, people with autism, like I said, they can be taught to focus on, facial expressions and derive, emotional states based on those, but they have to be taught that, and, but they definitely talk in their own language. These twins were like, you thought they were psychic because they would act in concert a lot of times to get what they wanted. And, but I think they were, like you said, talking in their own language that we had working in the group, and we had no clue that they were in communication, because they didn't communicate in the way that we did. But, but to teach someone neurotypical or normal communication patterns is more about, again, I taught one autistic fella to, do the echo technique with people because he wanted to, have friends, and he became quite successful being able to echo basically, and and get rapport to the point where he was very good at socializing, and and then one day he came in, and there was this one individual at the day program that he had somehow became friendly with, and he didn't want the relationship, so we had to come up with a new concept called negative echoing. If he said something, you just said it completely the opposite. Oh, I love the Red Sox. Oh, the Red Sox suck. Whatever he said. So on the fly in one session, we came up with that that twist on echoing, and but he was quite successful. Like I said, being able to form relationships, to communicate in a in a normal fashion, but it all had to be taught, like I said, by rote.
Cool. Anybody else got something they want to share with that?
Had missed the beginning part of the question.
So the
Didn't know
question is basically, if you were working with somebody who's on the autism spectrum,
Mhm.
autism people tend to speak in a different language than neurotypical people tend to speak.
Okay.
And so I was just curious what advice you'd give them, what examples you'd give them. How would you help people on the autism spectrum understand how to speak neurotypical?
Okay. When you were saying neurotypical, that's where I was. So my speech brain goes to what age group? Are we talking about adults? And then also what context are we talking in? What are they wanting to accomplish? So if it's an adult at work, that would be a different story. And also to really find out what other people's interests are. So that way they felt like they could go into the conversation with something and they weren't thinking of what do we have in common. They already had overheard their favorite movie or their favorite music, or, you know, if they were eating lunch together, they saw what foods they were enjoying. So you're already coming to common ground. And I always like to have questions ready to go. So I encourage people to, yes, positive childhood memories, those are great ones, but I usually go with music, movies, or food. Those are really, so movies and TV can go together, types of music, and then food, especially foods that are in local areas, because you can always say, oh, did you try that restaurant? Or how was that? I heard this one had opened, or what else do you like when you travel? And then you could also even break it down further and you can go into appetizers and main meals and then desserts. So I find food to be something very, very relatable as you're going into a conversation. And if you're wanting to build upon a foundation or build upon building rapport. Is that what you were thinking? Maybe possibly. Okay.
Did that help answer the question, Holly?
Can you not hear me?
No, we didn't
Was
hear
I? Oh, I just think that's great answers.
you. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely what I'm looking for. Since you asked the question, I am primarily thinking about adults, and if you want a context, I think all contexts are great, but specifically having difficult conversations that seem to feel like they're arguments to people.
Yeah. I usually enter it with a softener of I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or I'm not trying to come across in a rude way. This is what it feels like, or this is what's occurring. This is what it seems like to me. And I think seems is better than feeling, because feeling can be very personal. Or this is how it's appearing to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I'm appearing. And I like to encourage people to, like, if we have to have a difficult conversation, I'm going to say this is about the situation, not about the person. And I do my best not to point specifically to them or make them feel like I'm the one blaming them for something. This is what we're noticing. This is what it appears to be. This is what it seems to be. And that way you can keep that feeling component separate, and you can also keep any type of shaming component separate. Or you can even say, my understanding of the situation is this. If I'm not understanding it, or it's not being communicated clearly on my end or your end, let's work toward a better way of understanding each other. Those I think are the best professional. Thanks, Michael. Those I think are the best professional terms, while keeping the word feelings out of it.
Good stuff. You're still muted, Holly.
Oh, did you want me to respond? That's definitely great stuff. I will say, for context, I am the person with the autism spectrum disorder coming into the conversation. So I'm trying to figure out how to communicate with neurotypical people. But yes, I think that is a great statement. Great advice.
I will say, from my standpoint, you communicate very beautifully. I've seen you in this group. I've seen you in other groups. I've also spent time with you one-on-one. Never at any point have I thought I'm not understanding her. Never crossed my mind.
And vice versa.
Good to hear.
Like, I've
Thank you.
never felt that Holly misunderstood me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's really good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question then?
Oh yeah, tons of great answers. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, that means that Now we've got to come up with another topic or another question. Who's got another one? Come on, kids. Mark.
Okay, I've been thinking about this all week. I talked to TJ a little bit about it, but I was thinking about the word, again, or the essence of vulnerability. Okay, and someone once said vulnerability is the essence of connection. And if you're willing to be vulnerable, both partners, that means that people become invested in your life, but it's a risk to be vulnerable. So my question is true love a state where one overrules reason because, reasonably you don't want to, just leave yourself out there, be vulnerable. But does, if you feel that state of true love, does it overrule or overwhelm reason by the compulsion to be totally vulnerable with another person?
Good question, Mark.
Thanks.
Who's got an answer? Holly.
I'll take a stab at it. So I will say I don't necessarily think vulnerability and reason are at odds with each other. They might seem like they're at odds with each other sometimes because making ourselves vulnerable opens us up to attack. And so we might say, oh, it's not logical for me to open myself up to attack. One of the thoughts that keeps coming to my mind is I think about Matthew Hussey talks about the principle of invest then test. And the idea is if you want to build deep rapport with somebody, if you want to build deep trust with somebody, a deep relationship, all the way possibly to, a loving relationship, you kind of have to go first. And that's why you invest then test, but you don't have to go all in on the first try.
There.
So I think that a lot of love, trust, friendship, any kind of relationship, it's about, hey, I'm going to go first and I'm going to trust you with this piece of myself. And then I'm going to see what you do with it. And then if you treat it the way you should, you treat it with the respect you should, you treat, I think Brene Brown calls it proactive vulnerability. I'm going to trust you with something, but if you treat it right, then I'll trust you with a little bit more and I'll trust you with a little bit more. But if you don't treat it right, if you immediately turn it around and try to use my vulnerability against me, I've learned who you are and I have no obligation to keep trusting you with bits of myself. And so I believe that trust is earned. And, when somebody does use it against us, the biggest problem is, and I'm definitely a poster child for this, but I think a lot of times we jump up and we're like, oh no, I made myself vulnerable. I should never have done that. They were able to attack me, blah, blah, blah. I think that if we approach it with, no, I knew that was a possibility. But I think I've said this one before, it is true that a lot of people are going to use your vulnerability against you, are going to use your trust against you. But if you find the right people in your tribe, they can put your heart back together again after you've had somebody attack you. And, if you get one good person, you could have 100 people attack you and you go to your tribe and they're going to keep putting you back together. It's a kind of invincibility, but the only way you can find those people in your tribe is by being vulnerable and opening up. And so, there's a risk there, but you've got to just say to yourself, hey, when this person attacks me, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. That says more about them than it does about me. But also, this is the price I have to pay to get the good people in my life, and it is so worth it. So yeah, this person was a bad investment, but now I know that. Now I know who they are. I've tested them very quickly, because that's another thing too. I think sometimes we're too afraid to test somebody with the vulnerability, and then we keep them around forever because we don't know who they are. And so this is a very quick way to figure out who deserves to be in our life and who doesn't deserve to be in our life. And as we've discussed too, it's not necessarily, a switch, you're in my life or you're not in my life, but we talk about having your castle. This has shown me where you deserve to be on in my castle. Do you deserve to be off the grounds? Are you allowed on the grounds, but not in the castle itself? Are you allowed in the castle, but you don't come to the feast at night? Or, are you the person that I'm going to trust to come into, the very center of my castle? other than maybe the one area that's just for me. So yeah, I think that the price of finding love is definitely being vulnerable. But I think that that isn't necessarily letting go of reason. It's not letting go of it saying, I have boundaries, I have value, I'm watching what you're doing, I'm always be testing. I am paying attention, and I'm not going to be stupid. I'm not going to trust somebody who doesn't deserve it, who hasn't earned it. But I will go first. And going first means I might get hurt occasionally, but it's worth it because that's the price of finding those people who are going to put me together every single time afterwards.
Yep. Well said.
Thank you, Holly.
Lenora.
I came across a reel a couple of weeks ago and it said, when you love someone or when you care about someone, and so we're going to stick with love, you're giving them and you're walking in with the awareness that this person might hurt you and potentially could hurt you, depending on not necessarily on what level of extreme, but when we love somebody, we're giving them the opportunity also to potentially hurt us. And whether I think there's so many layers to vulnerability also, especially in a marriage, because now you're figuring out, for example, I got married at 24, 23, 24. I had not a freaking clue who the hell I was. Not even a little bit. I could tell you who I thought I was. Not even a little bit. And in learning to have a relationship with myself, know what that kind of care looks like, have a relationship with my husband, what does that look like? Then having that evolution of each other on their own and then together, there's so many layers. And I would never think anything is foolproof. And I love what Holly said about, going to your tribe and helping you come back together, because when, at least to me, in a marriage, they will show you the most beautiful things about yourself, and they will also expose the ugliest things about yourself. And it really is that evolution of being able to notice that, come back together, and repeatedly come back together. So you can have these drag down fights sometimes, and okay, how do we come back? What are we doing? How do we get back here? And every time you're taking your trust, which can sometimes feel like glass, and finding ways to put it back together. And it might take a lot longer than what you had initially thought, because all fights aren't equal. But I do think that there is this ongoing evolution ideally upward ascension to love. And I don't think it ever stops. But it is definitely not without bumps.
And real quick before I forget, I'm pretty sure it's the Japanese. They talk about when a piece of pottery or a bowl gets broken, they repair it with gold, and now it's more valuable than before it was broken. And as humans, for us to think that nobody's ever gonna hurt my feelings, you don't know anything about dealing with humans in their natural environment. But God bless you. And if we can, as Holly beautifully pointed out, have a tribe that can help put that back together, what are we using to put it back together with? Are we putting it back together with gold, or are we putting it back together with resentment and anger and building a wall around our heart? You guys, I'm sure, remember the story of one of my clients who went through a horrific event when she was 17 and built such high walls around herself that there she is in her early 30s and lonely as can be, but stuck inside of her own self-made prison. And that was vulnerability taken to an extreme in one of the worst ways possible. But the healing was also done in a very unfortunate way. And so with trusting people with our vulnerability, are you prepared to, if something goes awry, how do you handle that?
I don't know if we answered your question, Mark.
Yeah, like I said, I was just, I just wanted some input from my peeps. So,
Holly. Do you have your hand up, Holly?
Can you hear me now?
There
Jeez.
we go.
I wonder what's going on with this mic. I'm going to have to figure that out. This is just a quick thing. What TJ was saying reminded me of another thing that's always stuck with me too. In high school, our chemistry teacher, we all got our, brand new lab books at the beginning of class, and we were going into our first lab. And it's always stuck with me because I wanted to keep it so pristine. It's my beautiful new lab book. Nothing's going to ever hurt it, and it's going to just have perfect handwriting and no scribbles, no anything. And our teacher said, as we were going into the lab, now, just so you know, at the end of the year, I'll be able to tell who the real chemists are, because the real chemists are going to have lab notebooks with character. There's going to be acid stains on it. There's going to be, all of this other stuff going on. And then there's also going to be the other people, the people who are too afraid to try, the people who are too afraid to engage in all of the labs, and they're going to have the pristine notebooks. So do you want to have the lab book of someone who is afraid to try, or the lab book of someone who is a true chemist? And that's just always stuck with me of how many other areas of life where that applies.
You want to know one of them that popped in really quick? Cookbook. How many people have you seen with the whole collection of all these wonderful cookbooks that look brand new? And in your mind, you're like, you haven't tried anything, have you? And then you see Grandma's cookbook. And that thing is faded and weathered, and you open it up and you can tell some of her favorite recipes because it's got splotches of butter and vegetable oil or some chocolate residue on there. And it has little added notes. Add a little more butter or add less of this. And it's sad when I see them in a place like Goodwill. How did that cookbook end up in Goodwill? And I've got a couple of them. Even though it's ironic, according to my wife, that I own cookbooks because I don't follow recipes anyway. But I do go through them for inspiration to go, I like that idea. And then I go and do it. Yes, Elijah, same with scripts. And then you have cookbooks that are really well written for travels around the world. In fact, one of them was released not too long ago. Anybody know what that one was about? Somebody does, because their son wrote a cookbook that takes you through the world with recipes. I caught him off guard.
It's in the chat.
Is it?
Yeah, he just popped it in. Greg, he was talking about your son. You're on mute.
I was typing and I wasn't listening. So
Ah,
you
yes.
just happen to be asking about my son's cookbook right now?
Yes, I was mentioning the taste buds through a journey.
Good
Um,
segue.
I got my copy downstairs and got a couple of ideas already that are going to be made.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's the name of it. It's on Amazon now. Yes.
It's a cool. I kudos. I've seen a lot of cookbooks,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some cool stuff in there.
I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the finished product. Yeah, it's really well done. The pictures are good, the descriptions are good. There's pin maps of where the recipes come from around the world, and it's written as simply as possible for people who don't necessarily cook that much yet. So yeah.
And what level of vulnerability? I know we got a couple of people on this call now that have books, and putting something out like that also takes a level of vulnerability.
Absolutely. I actually just was chatting today with my son's publisher. His name is Rob. Good guy. He's about my age. We're both from back east, and so we hit it off really well. So I'm in the process of sending him my Word files of the book, and then we're going to meet somewhere for a beer some afternoon or evening and discuss getting my book onto Amazon as well. So having the print on demand version and then the e version as well. So that's exciting. And of course, uh, I'm exposing myself to a certain extent. Yeah,
We
yeah.
support the stage you're on, and we encourage it to be bigger.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the reasons I used my pseudonym, Vector Wisely, was and I put this book together like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was kind of hiding behind that name. My real name doesn't appear in the book anywhere, so I may just have to put it in there somewhere. Yeah,
I
but
think it's been a little more than 3 or 4 years ago, though, isn't it?
I think it was 21, maybe 2020, so it could be 5 years. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
time flies.
it certainly does. It's those time flies that steal our time. The flies are always around, those time flies. They
Yes.
come and they take our seconds and our minutes without us noticing. That's why I have my trusty time flies swatter. That's my minute.
Is that in your book? Time flies, steal time?
No, I thought of it after I put the book together. Although I keep editing the book, which is why no two books are really the same. Because
Yes.
I will go in and take out. I never add to it because it took me so long to get the format right because it's really outside the box. So if I add or take away, it screws up every page. So I have to take out pretty much the same amount of words and I'll replace it with a new saying, whatever. So it's ever morphing into the best version of itself, just like
Sounds about right. That's awesome.
There's another $1 million idea. Time flies, fly swatter.
Yeah, right? There you go. Pick your color.
Yes.
I could have a little clock on it, right? Something like that.
One of the businesses that we toured today, they said that the idea for the business, they still have the bev nap from the bar that the idea was written down on while two of them were having a beer in a pub.
Yeah, sure.
And I said, how many amazing ideas started out with a drawing on a napkin?
Actually started out with the beer and maybe some other substances, and that
Yes,
made its way onto the napkin.
yes.
Yes.
You know, they do say that you should write drunk and edit sober.
Ah, well, I
That's a
like that
good one.
idea. I must admit I've been in that place while writing a few times. Some of my best stuff.
And a few people have gotten texts at 3 in the morning.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Sorry about that, but
No.
yeah. At my best stuff comes at the wee hours when I'm connected to source and it's channeling me. It's amazing stuff. So, and I have to write it down within 15 seconds. Otherwise, it goes out back into the ethers and somebody else will get it. Yeah, it's mostly channeled stuff that I jot down. Yeah.
Was that a new topic? We need a new question or a new topic, so
All right. Inspiration.
come on, kids, we got 25 minutes left.
All right.
Mark,
Well, building on what Greg said about 3 a.m., getting a download, which really plays hob with your sleep cycle. But I got one the other day
Mhm.
and I woke up laughing.
Yeah.
My my download was, well, everybody is so afraid that AI is going to replace us, that it's going to evolve, more than, to the point where, people will become superfluous. But my agile, the download I got that woke me up and laughing was like, what if we continue to evolve and we make AI superfluous?
There you go.
If we can take the mind sciences to, the next level and be able to reprogram ourselves so that AI will only become a dusty footnote to history, that all these people are afraid that AI is going to replace us. What if we evolve to the point where we become, um, so much better than AI that AI becomes superfluous? And that thought just got me woken up and giggling at the same time. And I was like, yeah, turn the turtle on its back. We don't have to be afraid of AI. AI should be afraid of us.
There you go. I think we absolutely have the capacity for this. Once we all decide how powerful we are and to find it and to exercise it. Absolutely. And by the way, this when you said that, this is from my DJ experience. This is a track from an album from the 70s, Robert Palmer, his Clues album. And the track is Woke Up Laughing, that I remembered as you said that.
yep.
Great album. Anyway. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we are definitely, I see and feel a shift in consciousness. So many of my conversations are just crazy now. Higher order, right? Yeah, higher order. It's like everywhere I go now, and I guess it's who we are too. Like we are attracting this. I think, like, for lack of a better term, many of us are like chosen ones, not the egoic way, but I realize that I've been given certain skills and abilities and consciousness and awareness, and I bring that out into the world. And I have conversations everywhere. I've become much more social because I think it's important to get out there and spread the word, help people wake up to who they are. So many people, I mean, everybody at the soul level, they know it, but they are asleep. Their lower mind, their ego, their alter ego has created this thing that's in the way, pretty much, you know. But and so I find that when I find ways to like take people's language and I just start asking questions, and you know, I trigger them, and they're like, their eyes get big and they start to glisten. They're like, holy shit, I can talk about this stuff comfortably. And that gives them the courage and the strength and the fortitude and the bravado to maybe go to their whoever significant other or work, you know, people in their workplace, or friends, family, you name it, you know. So I think what we're doing here is really, really important and necessary. And it's like the universe is with us now. I just feel it. And part of it, the reason I know is that when I'm out there, I just listen to people. I ask questions, and it's like it's that channel thing again. It's like the questions come in, and what I have to say, it's right there. It's right there, and I'm connecting them within a few minutes. I'm connecting soul to soul with them, using our heads to do the mechanics of speaking. But it goes beyond that, and like I said before, I know it's true because their eyes start to glisten, like their soul is coming through, you know? And it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I saw a reel that said that you know, 90% of the populace is asleep. There's somnambulists, and you know, the 10%, again, about 5% of that 10% want to use them and manipulate them, but the 5% of us, which is growing,
Yes.
used to be 1%,
Yeah.
we want to wake people up and you know, to their potential, you know, and you know, we're being fought by that other 5%, but I think you're right. I think we're winning, you know, and our
Absolutely.
job, like I said, when you wake people up, I always find that they're a lot nicer, you know, and you have to you know, startle them, you know, and
Oh yeah.
but if you can get them laughing, like I said,
Yep.
people can't laugh and be asleep. Okay, they have to. Yeah, they seem to, you know, wake up when you get them laughing, and
Absolutely.
you know, but you're you know, what you have to do is you know, again, we're our mission is to wake people up.
Yeah. Wake them up to what they already know, they just forgot. You know, and it's great to see that when you say something to someone, they go, like somewhere inside, they're like they know that, but they haven't heard it in a few lifetimes, maybe, you know, and they go, oh my God. Oh my God, I didn't come here to buy stereo equipment from you. I came here because I needed to hear this. You know? And you're right, there's very few of us, but what we're professing is real and it's the truth. It's holy, even. You know, this is God given. We're agents of God here. And we are kind of like a ministry to a certain extent. And what we're overcoming, a lot of it is mind-made stuff, which isn't real. It only exists between the ears of man. You know, when we bring out truths, it's like that's thousands of times more powerful than stuff that people make up, ideas, bad ideas. You know, a lot of it's fear-based. That's not real. So that's why it doesn't matter how many of us there are. Our message is thousands of times more powerful.
Yep. Lenore, you had your hand up?
I did. There are times where I get insights, but like they're not necessarily waking up from a nap. They're more like standing in the grocery store. And I was walking out of the store earlier and I was thinking about Triple T, and there's times where I've been on the questioning side of things, and it was just like, well, wait, what if this is the whole thing? What if it's just about knowing yourself more and more?
Mm-hmm.
And the entire theater has been in training you to think that that wasn't about it, when really it is about that. And then it's almost like, is it that, what do they say? It's not that simple, or it is that simple. It's not
Mhm.
that easy. And so
Right.
that was just something that had hit me walking out of the grocery store earlier. So it really resonates with what you're saying now.
Cool. I come to find out that, you know, life and spirit and spirituality and all that, it really is simple. You know, the mind overcomplicates things because it thinks that unless it's complicated, it's not of value,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, look at this. It was really complicated. I figured it out. No, it it's really simple. But
Yeah.
in the society of things being overcomplicated and muddled over and a lot of bad information, a lot of believing stuff that people ought not to believe, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the simplicity is easily overlooked, right?
Well said.
It really is. Life is really, really, it's about breathing and smiling and laughing and having a good attitude and being healthy and eating right and connection with other people, kindred spirits, all of that. Oh
It's
yeah.
so funny because you think like, well, I came here to experience this, yet I find myself wrapping myself in other stories when if you kind of just sit and stare at your hand, or if you hold it up to the light and you like a really strong light and you
Yep.
start to notice it,
Yep.
you become so focused on this and you're thinking, why am I making everything else so complicated? It's not complicated at all. Like, look at this
Yeah.
that we walk around in, that we breathe in,
Right.
that we take
Right.
care of, or we
No
don't take
kidding.
care of.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
It
And
really is.
what's sad is that I find there are times where I have to focus on it because I didn't focus on it for so long, is that I was on such the other extreme that I hated so much of myself. Now I come back and I'm like, no, like you wanted to be here. And
Yeah.
look at what you get to drive around in and
Yeah.
what you get to feel and what you get to
No
experience.
kidding.
And then you're like, wow, there's
Magic.
also delicious food.
Absolutely
So
magnificent, this
it
place we
really
are.
is.
And it's right
Yeah.
here, like you said, it's like everywhere, all around us, in every moment. You don't have to go anywhere to find your happiness. Just open your eyes and be in the
Mhm.
present right now. Pay attention and be grateful. It's like we're in the middle of this. Just, my God, I don't think there could be a better place than Earth. I mean, really, you
Aw.
think God like didn't pull all the stops out to make this? I mean, look at nature, look at fish, look at animals,
Oh,
look at the
yeah.
sky. You know, who else but who else but God can use the sky as his canvas?
Yeah. And
You
then feel
know?
yourself breathe. And you're like,
Yes. No kidding.
yeah.
Right? And I look at my hands all the time and I go, thank you. My hands have done amazing things, you know, like, holy crap, what a miracle. Really? Right here at the ends of my arms are miracles, you know?
Yeah.
And then it just extends from there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
then we get wrapped up in stupid shit like what we're doing this week. And you're like, why? Why am I
right.
thinking that? I could think
Yeah,
about anything.
right. You choose, right? It's all
Yes.
choice.
You are
What are
always
you
a
thinking
choice.
right now? Yes. Yeah.
Ollie.
Good stuff.
Very.
Hopefully you can hear me this time.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, good. Um, this whole conversation is reminding me of for those of you who know the TV show Red Dwarf, many of you probably don't, but a Red Dwarf episode where it turns out that they find out that basically their life, well, whether this is the ultimate end is different, but there's a moment where they're seeing that their life is that they've been waiting in line forever to play this virtual reality game that's like the best virtual reality game ever. But once you go into it, you have your kind of memory wipe so you can have the full experience. And I was just thinking about how interesting it is because, and then there are questions too. Oh, did you reach this level? Did you reach this level? And it's like, that was in the game. You were supposed to be allowed to have this opportunity, but you didn't get it because you were afraid to take it because you didn't think you deserved it, or like that was part of the program. But I was just thinking, how interesting is that? What if this life was a virtual reality game that we waited in line because it's the best game in the world to play,
Okay. No kidding.
and we're finally here, and are we taking full advantage of that?
I think not enough of us are. They people think life for granted. The odds of us being in this place right now are phenomenal. Probably incalculable, perhaps. You know, it's like be grateful, man.
I
Be
love even
grateful.
thinking the odds of meeting up with people, like what it takes to get us all
Oh my
here.
God. All the stuff that's going on behind the curtain, all these pieces in play, like all these little guys running around. Oh, wait, no, we gotta, make sure this car takes this exit and then turns left, not right, and the lights are in the right sequence. This traffic lights. No, really, it's just phenomenal, phenomenal.
And the fact that some of us were allowed to live this long, because I know my guardian angel is going to have a very stern talking to me when
That's
he
right.
gets the chance.
Made
And
me work
Fran's
so
got
hard to
something
keep
for us
you
too.
alive.
I thought TJ was the guy behind the curtain, setting the stage.
Yeah, he looks like a little like the wizard.
It'd be a little different then. Fran,
Well, I love that Holly loves Red Dwarf because there's so much philosophy and astrophysics hidden behind the comedy. It's wonderful like that.
Mhm.
So my we've had so many layers happen since I got my aha, I want to say something. But a lot of it is about the chances. What are the chances of us being here now? And Red Dwarf even covered that. What happened if you weren't you, and what would the alternate you be? But microcosms and macrocosms, if you're talking about the wonder and the simplicity, that you have a universe in a grain of sand, and everything that's repeated on such a minute scale is repeated on a vast scale. So by focusing in and out, you get a different sense of scale and perfection. And, what if, well, we know we are a tiny speck in the universe of all things, but we're also everything.
Mhm.
So trying to grasp the macrocosm, microcosm in your brain shows you a whole new level of connection, divinity,
Mhm.
existence, and really blows your mind. We don't need any substances. We've got it all right in
No
front of
kidding.
us.
Yep,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Someone once said, life is the only game where figuring out the rules of the game is the object of the game. And I always say, if you're not having fun playing this game, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, amen.
and I love watching people's faces when stuff like what Fran just brought up. When they hear that for the first time and you watch them and they're like, the what and the where, my macro, and then you notice when it finally hits them, they're like,
Oh,
wait, what? What?
I love that.
And I remember when I was a kid, I used to like to mess with people's minds a little bit,
Really
shock.
surprising.
And one of the things I like to do is I'm sure you guys used to play the stare up at the clouds and see how many different things that you could recognize. Great
that.
game for imagination. But then I would go a step further and I'd be like, you see that star out there? Way out there? Yeah, that one? That one is just like our sun, which means that there's planets around there
Yeah.
going around that star or that sun. And on one of those planets, there's two beings going, you see that star out there?
Mm-hmm.
I love the freeze.
Yeah. Perfect.
At this profound
Right?
moment,
See
like
that
God.
star?
It is a very good moment.
Yeah.
Loving it.
And the
We definitely-
philosophy in that just in itself is just so
Oh.
perfect.
Oh my God. No kidding. No kidding. Yeah.
That is too funny.
We are a part of the all that is, like it or not. We're a part of it because that's the thing about spirit. We can't not be ever. We can't choose like we've had enough and we want out. We can't, because we are part of it. We exist. We have consciousness. The all it is cannot exist without each of us. Whoops. I'm hearing
You're
noise.
good.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
It's doing funny stuff. Yes, like it or not, we are part of the all that is and make the best of it. There's once we get entrance into this theater, there's no there's no refund and no way out. You're on the stage for good, with maybe some rests in between. You know, you go home for a while, right? And you talk to all your spirit family about what you did in this incarnation and what you're going to do next time. And yeah,
That was such a fabulous temporary exit in divine mode, TJ. It's wonderful to see you back, but you were magnificent.
that was good. Is he back? I don't see him back.
You're on mute, TJ.
Holy cow!
Oh,
9-9.
999. Wow.
Yeah, I was sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, all you all just froze, and I went, something is bloop, and it just, the whole Zoom screen just zip, went away.
I just got a text from a buddy up in LA. He says, "Happy 999 portal. Today is the perfect day to release what no longer serves you. This leaves you more space to allow bliss and abundance into your life."
Well, perfect timing.
Man, I'm telling you, the synchronicities. Wow.
Serendipity.
You guys know Bashar, no doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
why
I'm
the
here,
third subject was nines.
and I'm here to tell you that you survived the 999 in a wonderful way, and it's now 10-9. Or
Not,
9-10 for you.
not
Sorry.
yet. For you, it
Wait,
is, right? You're in the future there, Fran.
I'm in the future. I'm telling you from the
Tell me
future. You
the
made it.
winning lottery number, please.
She should have told us the big one. It was 1.8 or $2 billion.
Yeah, man.
No spoilers.
We would have
You
shared.
love uncertainty, Elijah.
I do love uncertainty.
I know.
Yeah,
I hear you
well,
smiling over it.
I guarantee you, if I would have won $1.8 billion,
Oh, man.
you all would have a very different life.
Yes. Yep. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Holly.
I just have to say with that, it just made me think if you did know the future and knew for sure that you'd get the winning numbers or the winning action, how different would the actions that you take today be?
That's a good one.
Yep. Careful what you wish for.
Well, it's funny if you think you have the winning lottery right now. You're here, you're alive, you have the winning ticket.
Mhm.
So
That's in my one of the lines in my book, is that perhaps your existence here is the winning of some sort of eternal lottery or something.
yeah,
Yeah, right? I
Well,
believe
write it down.
I outswam a million competitors.
right? Really? What are the odds?
What are the odds?
Yeah,
Absolutely. We are winners.
we are blessed. We are blessed. Oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And all the conflicts and difficulties are just blessings and
To
opportunities.
be embraced. It's
Absolutely.
all for us. There's nothing against us. God is not. He's malevolent. Everything for us. You know, cloaked in what our egos judge as bad. Those especially you must embrace. That's
Most
where the light is.
difficult and horrible ones are the biggest blessings in disguise.
No kidding. No
Yeah.
kidding. Yep. It's so comforting now to be in this place like that, right? Where no matter what happens, I initially, there's a little red flag that goes up, and initially, my old ego goes, "Oh, that's terrible. He's it's awful. You don't go there." And I go, "Thank you for that flag. That tells me I should go there." And I embrace it. And sure enough, it's something that is for me, not against me, every time.
But to remind yourself when you're in the thick of it that this is good is
It's
sometimes a tricky bit.
it's challenging. That's definitely challenging because we still have our old egos in there going, "No, no, 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 don't go there. It's, it's horrible. Last time you did that, oh, look what happened, No, no. The time span shortens, right, between that and like going, "Oh yeah, okay, I see that," and I'm gonna yell and curse and scream and blah blah blah, but it's gonna be minutes instead of weeks now, you know? Yeah.
People that have gotten to know me know that I have this way of just on the emotional tick-tock swing.
Yeah.
It was a clock, and 6 o'clock, 6 at the bottom is neutral. I usually swing about 5:30 to 6:30. 5 to 6 is pretty strong for me. And yet you see those people that are 11:58 to 12:01, and you're and you're like, whoa. And they're like, how can you do that? And I said, I've had so many plot twist left turns that it just, now I'm just kind of like, yay, this is good. And it will come to an end. And then, it's okay. It will come to an end. And you just realize it's just like the waves on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to come. There's always going to be these. There's always going to be these. And you just got to keep your head above the water. Design for the future. Pick out what stage you want to be on. And regardless of your past, your family's lineage, whatever, be the best version of you that you get to be. Because you get to. And share it with the world. And I am so thankful for you guys here. 193 of these things now
Right.
in completion. And thank you so much for offering up your valuable commodity of time for this platform. I appreciate all of you and hope to see your beautiful smiling faces back here in 7 beautiful, wonderful days. And if there's any way I can help you, please reach out.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all. Till then, love y'all.
Love you.
And for those of you on YouTube, love you, Mom.
Good night, all.
See you guys.
Take care, Mark.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, TJ.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lenora. Enjoy.